welcome to Kingdom Conversations. Today, we are going to discuss the weight of the wait. So, the weight, W-E-I-G-H-T, of the wait, W-A-I-T. So, we're going to address something that doesn't always look like warfare on the surface, but is often one of the most strategic battles in the believer's life, and that is delay. Delay is not always loud. It doesn't always come with obvious opposition. Sometimes it comes disguised as silence, stillness, or even seasons where nothing seems to move, even though you've been praying, obeying, and even believing. And if you're not spiritually discerning, you will mislabel a divine process as a divine problem. So, not every door that is closing is rejection, and not every pause is punishment. And not every delay is the absence of God. Some delays are actually God's protection wrapped in timing. But here is where the battle becomes dangerous. When you begin to interpret delay through emotion instead of revelation. Because interpretation becomes agreement, and agreement shapes your reality. So let's go ahead and define a few things. I want us to understand what delay is to a certain extent on today. Delay is not just waiting. Delay is the pressure that tests your interpretation of God's timing. The enemy doesn't always have to stop your promise. If he can distort your interpretation of the waiting season, he can get you to abort the process before your promotion. So I'm going to give us 3 layers of delay. The first is natural delay. This consists of timing, systems, processes, and even preparation. The second is spiritual resistance. Warfare against movement and assignment. And the third, internal delay, when your mindset becomes the barrier. And often the greatest delay is not external. It is the internal agreement with fear, doubt, and even impatience. So before delay ever shows up in your environment, it shows up in your thoughts. This is why the enemy targets your perception. Because if he can shift how you see your season, he can shift how you respond to it. You'll start having thoughts like nothing is happening, or I might have just missed God, or I should just take control of this myself. Or maybe I just need to just move without this confirmation that I've been seeking. But notice something important. None of those thoughts are rooted in revelation. They are rooted in pressure. And pressure, if not governed, produces premature decisions. James says a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. Why? Because delay without discernment produces instability. And instability is dangerous because it makes you reactive instead of responsive. Delay is not only about timing, it is also about the identity erosion. When things don't move, the enemy begins to whisper, "You are not chosen. You're overlooked. Now you know you're behind. Look, you might as well forget about it. You're not even qualified." But notice the strategy. It is not about the attacking. It's not about that. It's not just about the attacking what God says. It is the attacking who God is actually, that's what it is. It is attacking who God said you are. And because if identity breaks, obedience weakens. And when obedience weakens, you begin to move without instruction or stop moving altogether. Either way, the assignment is disrupted. So delay becomes a battlefield of identity preservation. One of the most dangerous spiritual mistakes is mislabeling, once again, process. Mislabeling process. When you call preparation rejection, you will fight God instead of yielding to him. And when you call silence abandonment, you will fill the silence with your own instructions. And when you call delay denial, you will release faith. You will release faith and pick up control. And control is often what's aborting timing, because control is rooted in fear, not trust. Now let's shift perspective. From heaven's standpoint, delay is not random. It is strategic. God uses delay for formation. He is forming your character so it can sustain your calling. Capacity building. What you are believing for requires a stronger inner structure than you currently have. The next one is alignment. Sometimes what you are praying for is already moving, but you are not yet aligned with the environment it requires. The fourth is protection. Some doors are not closed because you are unworthy, but because you are not yet ready for what is on the other side. This is why scripture says he makes all things beautiful in his time. He didn't say in your time, but he said in his time. Not your urgency, not your pressure, his time. Now we come to strategy. You do not break delay by frustration. You break it by revelation and alignment. Breaking agreements mean I refuse to interpret silence as absence. I refuse to name my season based on my emotions. I refuse to move ahead of instruction. I refuse to abandon obedience because of impatience. I refuse to do that because what you agree with, you empower. If you agree with fear, you empower fear. If you agree with doubt, you empower hesitation. If you agree with delay as final, you stop expecting movement. But when you agree with God's timing, you release endurance. Waiting is not passive in the kingdom. It is active alignment. And a mature believer in a waiting season, they keep praying even when answers feel silent. They keep obeying even when results are unseen. They keep serving even when recognition is absent. And they keep worshiping even when emotions are tired. This is not weakness. This is warfare with discipline, because endurance is not just about survival. It is spiritual strength under restraint. So let's go a little deeper. In the waiting season, God is often doing work that cannot be seen. He is strengthening your discernment. He is removing dependency on shortcuts. He is purifying motives. He is disconnecting you from premature alignment. He is building stamina for sustained obedience, because what you are asking for is not just an outcome. It is a responsibility, and responsibility requires formation. There's a posture that shifts everything, and that is alignment over anxiety. Alignment says, I will not move unless God speaks. I will not assume because I am uncomfortable. I will not redefine my season based on what I feel. Anxiety says, do something now, fix it yourself, move before clarity comes. But anxiety produces premature motion, and premature motion creates unnecessary cycles. And that's the reason why some of us find ourselves in these reoccurring cycles and doors and things, and wondering why it constantly just comes and it never ends. Now, here is your breaking point. Here's your breaking point. You don't come out of delay by time. You come out by alignment with truth. So today, you shift your agreement. That's what you're going to do today. You're going to shift your agreement. You are not delayed. You are being developed. You are not forgotten. You are being formed. You are not stuck. You are being positioned, and you are not overlooked. You are being prepared. And I want you to declare even today by saying, I break agreement with fear, confusion, and misinterpretation of my season, and I align with God's timing, and I will not abort process through impatience. Because what God has spoken is not going to fail. He will not fail. He's not capable of failure. It will mature. It will manifest. It's going to come to pass. It will arrive when you are ready to sustain it. So if you had to ask yourself that question today, am I really ready for what the Lord is wanting to release in my life? Am I really ready for what I've been praying for and seeking God for? Are you able to sustain it with the capacity that you currently have in the season that you currently find yourself in? Are your emotions aligned, or are you in the place where you're just like, okay, look, whatever happens, it just happens, and you decide to stay stuck and with no movement? It's going to arrive when you are ready to sustain it. So today, I hope this has helped you. I hope this is giving you more of an understanding of where you are. And I'm excited to be able to bring kingdom conversations where truth dismantles deception, and where process produces power, and where believers are awakened, equipped, activated, and even sent on their kingdom assignment. So once again, you stay in alignment. I want you guys to stay in formation. I want you to stay in faith, and do not break under the weight of the wait.